Good evening, everyone. We welcome you all to this Golden Jubilee 50th Monday Motivation. And the most credit goes to my very dear friend, Dr. Tushar Agrawal, who has started this season 2 with a bang. And today we have not one, but 3 moderators with us. My very good friend, Dr. Tushar Agrawal, who's a pediatric orthopedic surgeon from Mumbai, Dr. Vijay Sriram, who's also a pediatric orthopedic surgeon, and a very dynamic photographer from Chennai, Dr. Satyen Mehta, who's a spine surgeon from Mumbai. Besides me and Dr. Ashok Shyam, we welcome you today's speaker to introduce today's topic and the presenter. I hand over to Dr. Tushar Agrawal.
Hi guys, good evening and thanks again for joining us. And I cannot express as to how much pleasure I have on saying that today we are in the 50th edition of Monday Motivation. And I believe we are one among the longest running program on a continuous basis on OrthoTV. Today's speaker, I must say I got introduced through this book. It looks reversed there, but it says Making Excellence a Habit, the secret to building a world-class healthcare system in India. And I went through the book very rapidly and I thought I must get Sir somehow on OrthoTV. And I was absolutely clueless. And I went about my usual methods on social media, trying to get hold of the email or some contact. And then I suddenly recollected Dr. Vijay, my dear friend in Chennai. And I was sure that he is going to know Dr. Mohan. And he immediately helped us and connected us to Dr. Mohan. So Dr. Mohan is synonymous with diabetes and diabetology in India. He is a complete authority. He is an astounding clinician and a research person with over 1,500 papers in international peer-reviewed journals and papers of scientific excellence, practice-changing papers, not just papers for publication's sake. Above all, he's a Padmashri awardee, he's a B C Roy Awardee, and a phenomenal orator and conversationalist. So today evening, the flow will be that he will be speaking to us for about half an hour, and after that, we'll have ample time to bombard him with our questions. And please, you have the WhatsApp link, so please send us your questions. Please remain with us till the end of the program, and please encourage all your friends to join us for this evening. Great evening. I welcome you, Dr. Mohan. Let's start with the proceeds of the evening.
Thank you, Tushar. First of all, I want to thank you and Vijay and Dr. Satyen Mehta, and also the OrthoTV, Neeraj and Dr. Ashok Shyam for inviting me. I was pleasantly surprised when through a common friend of Vijay and myself, the famous producer Rajiv Menon, during my walk in the morning, he suddenly brought this up and said somebody is trying to reach you for a program, and that's how it all came. So thank you, Tushar, and first of all, congratulations to OrthoTV. I was not aware that there's a channel like this and that you've been going on for so long. It just shows how we all work in silos, and even people like Dr. Mailvan Natarajan was not very sure is not very aware of this. When I told him I'm doing this program, he said, "What is this?" And so he seemed so I think you should get him also once on this program. So what I'll do is I will share a small presentation with you because I want to talk about excellence, because I think that's something which everybody should strive for, and that's the reason why I wrote this book. So I'll take you very briefly through my life's journey, showing different facets of it. And the main point I want to emphasize is that people think you're born with a golden spoon and then it's very easy for you. It's not always like that. Sometimes you have to struggle through life to come up, and in my case I had to do it twice all over again, and I'll talk about that. So after that presentation, then I think I'll open up the floor and leave it to Tushar and Vijay and Satyen to ask me whatever they want. So let me start with this presentation. Can you see it? Oh no, sorry, I didn't put the...
Yes, sir.
You can see it, is it?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, great. So that's good. So as I said, I'm just put this as making excellence a habit. And And I'd like to start with, paying my respects to my mentor and my father, Professor M. Vishwanathan. Till recently, I used to say that he started the first diabetic clinic in India. And that's what I thought until about 5 or 6 months ago. After 50 years in this field, it was officially the first diabetic clinic in independent India, because in 1948, he started it, a year after the independence. But now I've done a lot more research, and I know that in 1920s and 30s, there was already work being done. And I'm not going to reveal those now because I've written an article on this, and it's a history which is completely new to me. So we won't get into that. But he is officially called as the father of diabetes in India because it's in Stanley Medical College that he started the first diabetic clinic. And he was actually born 2 years after insulin was discovered, 1923. 21 this year is the 100th year of insulin, as you know. But he was able to do research, not only teach and become a professor and see patients as an examiner and everything, but he was also doing a lot of research on diabetes. And he showed that even in the government sector, with virtually no funding those days, 1950s and 60s, he was already publishing quite a lot of papers. So without him, I don't think I would have entered this field at all. And then when I came to third year, I had, this fabulous teacher and my mentor, Professor Lalita Kameshwaran. Unfortunately, we lost her a few years ago, and her husband, Professor Kameshwaran, died literally day before yesterday. He lived up to 98. He's my father's classmate, by the way. And so she was not only my professor, but she was the one who introduced me to basic research when I was in third year. And but for her, I don't think I would have really taken up basic science and research. She rose to become the vice chancellor of the university, so my pranams to her as well. The second half of my life, Rema was my classmate, and all about that is there in the book. There are some nice, exciting pieces if you want to read about how I met her and so on. I won't spoil that for those who have not read. But right from that time, from my college days, she was she became my wife, and she became my collaborator, and she became, above everything else, she was my conscience keeper. And she was the one who gave me motivation. In the second half of my life, after I left my father, and I'll talk about that. Unfortunately, we lost her also about 10 years ago to cancer. Very early, we lost her. Now, of course, the two people in my life are my only daughter, Anjana, who has taken diabetes after me, but she has most of the traits of her mother, and my son-in-law, Ranjit Unnikrishnan. These two people are the ones who continue to be my source of support. And actually, third generation diabetologists. So starting my father and then me, and now 3 generations. I don't think 3 generations of diabetologists, very few are there in the world actually. And we are very blessed to be part of that. But of course, we have a whole team. And I thought even before I get into anything else, because achievements come not because of one individual, but because you have a good team. And to do the kind of work that we are doing, I certainly could not have done it alone or just with my family. So I call all these people as my extended family. And you'll find people like ophthalmologists, geneticists, research scientists, clinical trialists, epidemiologists, food and nutrition research workers, translational researchers, vascular biologists, and all kinds of people work with me. And that's why we have so many. We have 25 scientists full-time. And this is probably one of the few institutions where so many people are working in a private institution without any government funding. We get some grants, but really not for the salary support and so on. And we have at any given time 25 PhD students, and which is at one time it was twice the number of whole of JIPMER. JIPMER had 57 departments. And we had twice the number, and this is a small, institution devoted to just one specialty. So that's the first message I want to tell you, that if you have a passion, if you have an interest, then somehow nature kind of conjures its act together and makes it happen. And I'm a great believer in that, and I've written about that in the book as well. And so I wrote this book because many people told me, unless you write it. So I said, why should I write it now? In fact, one of my teachers, when I sent him the book, yesterday he wrote such a nice eulogy about the book. But then he asked me, why did you write this book now, Mohan? You should have written it after 20 years. I said, sir, I didn't know my wife will go 10 years earlier. And how do I know I'll be there for another 20 years? He said, oh, you'll be there for 20 years. I said, yeah, but you never know. Life is so short that before I ever wrote the book, it might happen. So I said, okay, when I still have my faculties, let me write it. And that's how I wrote this book. Now, I want to talk about what is excellence. Excellence is defined as a quality of being outstanding or extremely good. You can't just be good. being good is not enough. That's passe. It's not enough at all. You have to be excellent. See, if you're playing cricket, you have to be a Sachin Tendulkar. You have to be a Virat Kohli. There's no point in being I was also one member of a team, but you may not know me at all. That's no use. If you want to be the best, you really have to be the best. You have to be an Amitabh Bachchan or a Rajinikanth or somebody in acting. Otherwise, you're really not made it. So that should be your ambition. Even if you don't get there, that should be your ambition, to become the best of the best of the best. And if you can do that, because you have only one life, and I don't think God wanted us to be mediocre people. But why habit? Why make excellence a habit? Because what is a habit? A habit is a settled or a regular tendency or practice, especially one that is hard to give up. So it's like an addiction, So if you start doing in everything, you have to do excellence. So why am I wearing a tie and a coat at 9 o'clock in the evening, sitting in my house? Because I believe that it's a special occasion, and therefore I have to come dressed like that. Not because I want to show that I'm a big guy, but that's how I am. I want to be excellent in everything. And that's, I think, a habit which it becomes a habit. In everything you do, it becomes a habit. But that's not new. And I want you to believe me when I tell you that I did not copy this from this quote from Aristotle. Somebody told me this much later. After the book was published, during the second, I had two releases of the book. During the second release of the book, somebody told me that Aristotle has already mentioned this long ago. In 380 to 320 BC, Aristotle has mentioned this. Okay, what did he say? Then I went and said, so this is what Aristotle said. We are what we repeatedly do. Excellence then is not an act, but a habit. So he has said it. So how did I get this? I was trying to find a name. I wanted excellence in the name. And so make a ladder of excellence, climbing the ladder, excellence is this, excellence is that. And everything in the book is already there, So I went on discussing with Penguin and I gave them name after name after name. Finally, I said, making excellence a habit. This is not there. They said, okay, book it straight away. We are making it. And now I find that Aristotle has already said this in 384 BC. So it's very humbling that whatever you think you're doing new, great people have already done it much, much before. So imagine how much excellence he had to say this in 322 BC. Okay. Now let me share a few secrets of my success, and through that, tell my story. So I'm not picking every chapter, but the magic of serendipity. See, the serendipity is why we are here today. How did Tushar reach out to Vijay, and how did Vijay reach out to Rajiv Menon? How did Rajiv Menon call me, and then how did I come here today? So first of all, he read a book, and from there, so that's a connection. That's what I mean by serendipity, that we think it all happens just by chance. Nothing in life happens by chance. According to me, you are meant to go through a certain thing. You're meant to meet certain people. And of course, whether you believe in it or not is the question. If you believe in that, you make use of it. Otherwise, it just comes and it goes, and it's a missed opportunity. And I talk about that in the book. The second thing I talk about is focus. Now, in the book, I clearly point out that I took up medicine only to do diabetes. Okay. My father had left Stanley, and he wanted me as the eldest son to take up medicine. I had no idea about doing medicine. I wanted to do English literature. But my father kind of told me, I'm leaving Stanley. I don't have anything left. And you have to come. You have to help me take medicine. Then I said, okay, but I have to do research. I told him I want to do writing. And that's why I write so much, because writing was something which, I wanted to do all my life. And so I said, I want to write. And he said, this is the best field. You come here, you can write articles, scientific articles. I said, no, I want to write poetry and I want to write a book. And maybe that's why I wrote the book, because finally, after 50 years, I said, now I have to write my book, because I've been waiting for it for 50 years. Then the road to resilience, okay? Very often you will fall, and I'll show you how I had to build my whole life all over again. Losing your wife when she's a managing director, heading the ophthalmology department, running everything. Of course, she created a cadre of people, many of them who are listening to this talk, excellent people, and that's why the department is going on. But then to get up from there and start again is not easy, and you need resilience. Otherwise, you'll fall, and that's it. Of course, without passion, nothing happens. Unless you believe in it, unless you fall in love with it, whether it's a subject or whatever you do, you're not going to achieve success. And then, of course, grit. People will tell you can't do it, and you still must do it. And that's grit. You must dare to dream big. Of course, if you ask me, did you dream that you will do all this at that time? Maybe not, but maybe yes. One thing I did say when I was in my third year, when that is mentioned in the book. So in third year, 4 of our very big friends got together. They're all very big people now. And so each one is talking about what they will do. And I said, you know what, one day I'll have the largest number of research publications, by any doctor, not only in India, but probably in a practicing doctor in the world. This is in third year when I said this. And they said, you're crazy. You don't even think of such things. You'll become depressed. Don't do it. And I said, no, that's my ambition. If I either achieve it or not, that's a different thing. But that's my goal. I think I have achieved it today. But for that, you have to dream and you have to believe in yourself. Sometimes it happens, sometimes it doesn't happen. But no harm in dreaming. By sharing your knowledge, you also grow in the process. Some people keep everything with themselves. Don't do that. Give it out, and by giving it out more, you become bigger and bigger. Failure is never final. I told you that. But resilience. Never let people discourage you. I told you that. And then the power of collaboration. That's where I'm going to talk. Because everything is about networking. And unless you have networking, you will never be able to go far. And for that, I give an example. Either you can have a small cake, okay? And you can say, this cake is mine. I made a cake like that, about this size. And you say, I own this cake. Or you can have a cake as big as this room, of which you own only a small part. But that part can be 50 times bigger than the cake that you have. Now, to build a cake like that, you can't do it. You need 20 people to join with you. But ultimately, you build something which nobody can do, and that's the power of collaboration. And so you need that small cake of yourselves, but you must also be part of that. And that comes out in my book. Now, where did my research journey start? And Tushar also asked me this in one of the questions. So it started in a car shed. And a car shed is not the exact car shed. I'm just putting a picture like that, but something like this. When I entered that, there were cobwebs, there were, bats flying around. And that was the thing. And they were about to demolish it. I said, no, don't demolish it. This is going to become my research lab. It's about as big as this. Okay. And that one we cleaned up. And when did I do all this? When I was 18 years old. I just entered anatomy physiology. I have not even finished my biochemistry. And then we started. I said, no, I want to get animals. I want to do research. I want to do, I'm itching to do my research. And so while all the classmates and everyone is studying anatomy physiology, I was setting up, animal house, buying cages. I went to King Institute, bought the thing, brought the mice, bought the thing, started doing experiments. We hired one research scientist and said we started injecting alcohol, trying to do this, trying to produce diabetes in rats, all kinds of things we started doing. And I was in second year, I had not even learned anatomy, physiology, nothing, while all that is going on, because that was my dream. And I said, no, I must keep doing this, I must keep doing this. And my father said, you do, because I brought you into this field. I promised you that I'll help you. So I'm not stopping you. You do. If you want some animals, you get it. You start. So that's how we started. So then about MMC, 1971, we entered MMC. In 72, I started doing both clinical work as well as experimental work. Both was going on simultaneously, because that's my father when he visited me in Germany when I was an Alexander von Humboldt fellow. So that's one of my papers. And this is a paper which got published in 78. The reason was about 3 years the journal kept it without publishing. But it's an experimental study in dogs, which I did when I was in third year, when I was in pharmacology, doing my pharmacology and pathology. I finished this work. And we actually operated on dogs. We made the subtotal pancreatectomy, produced diabetes in dogs, then gave different combination of drugs. Same thing at the same time with my father's clinic, we were doing the clinical studies going on. Same time, the animal studies were going on here. We didn't have, there was the whole Madras Medical College animal house was in a mess. There was nothing there. We cleaned up everything. We brought the whole thing. I brought in the money to put into that. I borrowed money and brought in and made the whole animal house so that we could continue with the experiments. Because I was so much influenced by Banting and Best, who discovered insulin in the summer of 1921, that I said, I must also I've gotten to this field and I must start working on that. Now, these are my publications from 74. It takes about a year to do the work and then to publish. So you can see from 71 was actually 72, I did anatomy physiology. 71, we had this pre-clinical with medicine. So you can see from 74 onwards, these are on. The only reason I'm the last author, you may ask, why are you the last author? My father said it goes according to age. Subramaniam was the professor whom we hired to do the rat experiments and so on, the rat experiments and so on. And so he said it goes according to age. So according to age, I was the last. So he said, you're the last author, because according to age, you don't have a degree. If you don't have a degree, MBBS, how can I give you first authorship, he said. That changed only when Dr. Lalita Kameshwaran gave me the first, you can see here, this is Lalita Kameshwaran's paper. Here was the first time that I got a first authorship was when she gave me the first authorship there. Okay, and so it went on. So even before I finished my MD, I had something like 30 publications. And I think it's a record of sorts even then in fairly good journals. At that time, this is the kind of journals that we could publish. And I couldn't think of international journals and so on when I was 20 years old, because nobody taught me how. I didn't attend a research course. I never attended any research methodology. Everything was self-learned. Nobody, every time I went, my teacher, except people like Delta Commission, most of my teachers will say, why are you trying to do research now? Are you going to get a Nobel Prize? What are you wasting time? You'll fail in your MBBS. That's what's going to happen. You're a stupid guy. And all the fellows, all my teachers used to curse me. And then without telling them, I used to do the research. Okay. Now I continued from 81 to 91. So 71 to 81 is my studies. 81 to 91, I spent with my father as a consultant diabetologist. And then in 91, we did something very strange. I left to start on my own. Okay. So I told my father, you know what, now it's time. I think 20 years I spent with you, 10 years as a student, 10 years as thing. I must go to South Madras, I told him. He said, no, South Madras, you're in North Madras, you'll stay here. I said, no, but South Madras needs, a good center. So let's go and start another one. So he didn't allow. So then finally he said, if you're going, you go. And if you're going, you go empty-handed, take your stethoscope and leave. I said, see, I don't have any earnings. I don't have anything. I don't have money, because all the money we used to donate for research, for buying the animals and buying the thing, and Madras Medical College and everything is to give. I said, I have not earned anything for 20 years. He said, that's okay. If you're a smart guy, you come up by yourself. We'll see how smart you are. Right now, you've been with me. So now let's see how on your own, how you do it. Let's see how smart you are. So I said, okay. That's where my wife came in. She said, let's go. We'll do it. We'll start with just stethoscope and we'll do it. So then we started, and that's a small clinic which we started. In fact, that's my father inaugurating it. You can see my wife standing there. That's my daughter, who is now our managing director. And that's my grandfather. He's also there supervising, and the rest of the family and some people. So we just started in 2-3 rooms in a rented place, and we had 20 staff, and including the housekeeping and everyone, with 3 consultants. And my first patient, my father said, you should not take a single patient of mine. You start fresh on your own. I said, okay, I'll do that. I'll go and start. So I went to South Madras, but I had a dream. My dream was that I'll build a big center, especially research. I wanted to build a big, that was another argument. My father said, see, you're taking research too seriously. It's okay to do research, but you're taking research too seriously. I said, I told you in the beginning itself, I wanted to do research. That's why I took up medicine. Now you're saying I'm taking it too. I said, I must build a research center. He said, you're crazy. How can you build a research center in a private thing? It will never succeed. You will fail. So that was his view. I said, no, let me go and try on my own. I'll do it. So then we started, in that rented place. Then we moved into our own place. And today we are in 8 states of India. We have 50 branches. We are the world's largest diabetes center now in 30 cities. We have 500,000 registered diabetic patients. That's 500,000. We are the world's largest electronic diabetes electronic system. We see between 1,000 to 1,300 patients across our patients. We have 60 inpatient beds. We have 130 consultants working for us and 1,400 staff. So that's how we have grown in the 30 years since we left my father. And of course, I won't go into that. We have put everything under one roof. We call it as total diabetes care. And that's what makes us special. And of course, the honors started coming in. The awards started coming in. Lot of fuss, which I won't go into. Generally, it is pioneering work. So we are always thinking, what next? What next? What next? What next? And it's that passion and that drive which keeps you going. Of course, awards keep coming in. 7 times in a row, the Week magazine has voted us the best diabetes center. 7 times, Times of India is, in fact, last week, we are again voted the best in the country. 7 times in a row, we have been voted. Many organizations have been voting us as the best in the country. Now let's move to research. Now, when I left my father, I had built a very good career in research. I had almost 250 papers. It was a very good thing. And I was at the peak of my career when I was 1991. Those 20 years, it really reached a peak. And then I came down to this 2-room clinic where I had nothing, zero. So for 5 years, I was totally bowled out. I couldn't do research. I couldn't do anything. I was totally in the dumps, and I had to start all over again. Then in 1996, I thought it's gone. My research career is gone. Everything is gone. By 1996, 5 years later, I said, no, I have to get back. This is my life's ambition. So like I started in 1971, I started with the first staff, and in a room like this, small, dingy, this actual room. This is the room which we started. It's about 10 feet by 8 feet or something. Small. Actually, it was a toilet. We converted the toilet into a research staff. And again, I employed my first staff. And I said, this is the beginning, but from here we'll grow. What happened was we started taking up next room and the next room and the next room in the hospital, and everything was becoming a research center. all my admin people came and said, stop, sir, you cannot convert this hospital into a research center. Hospital is a hospital. You cannot convert into research center. I said, okay, in that case, I'll buy another building for research. So what happened was we bought this. That's the one you see there is the research, is the hospital, that one, and that's a research center. So we built a 4-storied research center. And when we built that, everybody said, why are you building 4 stories of research? Exactly like what my father told me. You will never be able to sustain it. You're crazy. You're absolute. In fact, one man told me, first get your head examined. Something is wrong with your brain. That's why nobody will think like that to have a 4-storied building. The Director General of ICMR, Dr. N.K. Ganguly, inaugurated that. He said, Mohan, I appreciate what you're doing, but as the Director General of ICMR, I want to ask you, why don't you make half of it as hospital and half of it as a research center? Don't you think it'll be more viable? I said, sir, my dream is very big, sir. I dream bigger than this. 5 years later, he came and inaugurated a 40,000 square feet research center, Asia's largest standalone research center, and a 6.5-acre campus in Surgeries. He was still DG of ICMR. And he said, for the first time, a DG of ICMR has inaugurated 2 institutes in his own tenure. And this one still remains, and this one still remains. We added 2 more. Okay, now we have 4 research centers, and each of them doing separate work. Now you can imagine how we are able to do so much of research. You may say, how did it keep going? Don't ask me how it keeps going. A lot of divine intervention is there, a lot of collaboration, a lot of friends, a lot of help comes from all kinds of sources. It's a complete mystery to me also. I never thought we'll grow so big. I only wanted that one building. From there, now it's become 4 separate buildings. And then recognition from WHO, IDF, ICMR, DST, DBT, then Madras University, MGR University, Deakin University, Melbourne, University of Warwick have recognized us for PhD. So our students can work in Chennai and get PhD from Australia, PhD from UK, PhD from anywhere. So that's the kind of recognition that we have. Today, we have crossed 1,400 publications, 923 original articles. And the kind of papers we're publishing now, earlier I showed you first 30 were in Indian journals. Now it's in Nature, New England Journal, Lancet, Nature Medicine, Nature Genetics, Cell, Lancet Diabetes, Diabetes Care. If you take the top 30 or 40 diabetes journals, in each of them at least 10 papers minimum we'll have. And some of them we have like 100. And Diabetes Care is the number 1. There we have at least 50 to 60 papers published in that one journal. That's because we have collaboration with so many universities. We didn't go to them. They came to us, right from Imperial College London, McMaster University Canada, University of California, San Francisco, Harvard Medical School, Emory University, Atlanta, Deakin University, Australia, Moorfields Eye Hospital, UK, University of Warwick, University of Dundee, University of Leicester. Very big list of, it's still going on. All these are active collaborations still going on. Plus, of course, the Indian institutes, Indian Institute of Science, AIMS, New Delhi, Shankar Nethralaya, PIMS, PGI Chandigarh, CDC, Delhi, and many, many others. Sri Chitra Tirunal, St. John's, my old hospital, MB Hospital, which my brother runs now, all of them are still active collaborators with us. Finally, about charity, from the beginning on day 1, my wife and I said, what, everything that we do, we will have one section devoted to charity. So today we run 4 diabetic clinics, 2 are with the Satyen organization, 1 is in my father's name, and 1 is a free mobile hospital, again with Satyen organization. About 10,000 patients receive lifelong treatment. Remember, they take insulin free, tablets free, consultations free, and it's for lifelong. It's a huge budget that we have to give. About 150 juvenile, now it's increased now it's about 350 children receive lifelong free treatment. 12,000 auto rickshaw drivers in Chennai we have treated free, and they're all coming lifelong for free treatment. Free eye camps are being done. My colleagues continue to do that. Dr. Rajalakshmi and Dr. Prathipa and Arul Malar and the whole team of the people trained by Dr. Kanan Bala and all of them. They continue to do the free services. We started a rural project, that's my wife, and she kept saying that we have to do something for rural India. And so we were just thinking about it, how to go to do this rural project, when somebody called me from Chunampet. Chunampet is a small village, about 120 kilometers south of Chennai. He said, come and see me. So I said, what for, sir? He said, no, I've got some land. I'm planning to give it to you. Please come. So I went there, so he said, this is the land, about 9 to 10 acres of land I have. I'll give it to you free. So I said, thank you. He said, no, not so fast. Tell me what you'll do with it. You tell me how the people will be benefited. So I said, can you give me 1 hour? I'll sit down. I'll come with a plan now. So I sat down there in his office, and 1 hour I came up with a scheme. I said, you know what, sir? We'll bring a Chunampet rural diabetes project. My wife and I have been thinking about it. We didn't have the land. We didn't know what to do. He said, are you sure? I said, I'm sure. I'll come up with that. So he gave us the land. With that, we went to the World Diabetes Foundation. This is the director of the World Diabetes Foundation giving us a big van. And what happens is then we selected people from the villages, young men and women like this, because doctors find it very difficult to go to villages. So we have taken high school dropouts from there, both men and women, taught them how to do blood pressures, blood sugars, and so on, following all the ethics and all the rules of doing research as well as screening. And then we have this big van. Inside the van, this is 16 years ago we started this. And so in the van, it's like a regular mobile hospital. So you can do eye checkup, you can take pictures and then relay it back to Gopalapuram. And here you can see our ophthalmologist, Dr. Prathipa, sitting there and talking to that lady in Chunampet. It's not just Chunampet alone, about 42 other villages we adopted in and around that. Government of Tamil Nadu said, take those villages and adopt them. And in that land, we built the Sai Rural Center. Where did the money come from? My wife and I donated our money. Several years of our income, we donated into that. And then we built this. And the doctor you just saw there, he was from that local place. We brought him and then trained him and put him there. Within 3 years, we could create history there. And, almost the whole population of those 42 villages, we screened. We got a lot of research data. We were able to publish so many papers. And most importantly, the A1C of all these people came down. And this has been written about in the Lancet and became big stories. The Discovery Channel, BBC, Jugaad, the book has written about. This has been one of our biggest successes. Finally, about education, I'm not going to spend time on that. We run so many courses, right, from fellowship in diabetes, fellowship in eye disorders, in education, laboratory courses, and so on. But I want to end by just telling you that how did we do this? We did it by what I call as the snowball effect. We started, take the clinic, we started in a small rented place, then rented the next floor, then rented an adjacent building, then built our own hospital, then we started our first branch, then we started branches outside Chennai. Today, we have the 52 branches in 32 cities. Research, start in a single room, and I'm only talking about after I left my father, okay? So start in a single room, few more rooms, then separate building, the new building at Siriseri, now in 4 locations, 25 scientists, 25. So you can see like a snowball, it has grown. The foundation is strong, so you can build on it. Fellowship teaching program, first one, only in-house fellowship, then other courses. Then with the Public Health Foundation of India, the CCBDM is the world's largest training course for doctors. 16,500 physicians all over India and all over the world have been trained through this. Now with Warwick University and Deakin University, we are running courses for nurses and others. And this is the number of people whom we have trained. Then research, epidemiology. First, we're doing only clinical research. Then we started in one part of Chennai, then whole of Chennai, cures. Then the whole of India study. Then whole of the world now, international pure study. We are also part of it. And now other studies, CARS. We just got a recent NIH funding, a huge funding, which for the next 5 to 6 years, it will be funded. So once you start something which is good, people start coming to you. So I want to end with 2-3 things, saying that there's no limit to human endeavor. That is something I want all youngsters to listen to this and say. Abhi Bekela ran barefoot and won the first Olympic marathon. He came back and ran a second time, won the marathon again. Third time he ran and won the third marathon. Then he had an accident. And after the accident, he became paraplegic. Sitting in that wheelchair, he learned archery and became a world archery champion, So human spirit, and there is no limit to human endeavor. You can just go on and on and on. Remember, excellence is also like a mirage. You'll think that it's something is there, there's water there. When you reach there, it's not there. It's moved on. So it's like a mirage. And then also you have to keep raising the bar higher and higher. You think you have achieved it, you reach the thing, then they raise the bar higher. And you have to now go to that. You have to bring in extra effort. And only a true leader or visionary will be able to do that. Others will give up. They'll say, that's enough for me. I'm happy. Don't be happy. Keep striving, because there's so much more that you can do. Okay. I like this quote by Ajit the Husker, who said, is chairman of ITC. He said, excellence is paying the maximum attention to the minutest detail. The minutest detail, you pay the maximum attention. Then you will get excellence. Okay. So I like to end by saying that you can practice excellence in everything you do, small or big. Slowly, excellence will become a habit. If you keep on doing it, you cannot but do excellence. You have to have excellence in whatever you do. And Jagdish Chandra Bose said that when one dedicates himself wholly for a great object, wholly you must give yourself, complete you must give yourself, then the closed doors shall open, he said. He didn't say it may open. He said it shall open. And the seemingly impossible will become possible for him. So this is said by Jagdish Chandra Bose. He died in 1937. You can imagine when he said that, pre-independence days. And it's absolutely true. If you give it your best, you'll suddenly find things are happening. Jai Hind. I'd like to end with that and say that in India, you can do a lot of things. And don't think that only in the West, only in Harvard, only in Stanford, only in Yale, you can do things. You can do everything here, starting in that car shed. You saw how that car shed was. From there to here, the journey has taken me 50 years, and I had to do it twice, not once, but all over again, start all over again. And even then we could do that. And the only reason is that you believe in yourself, you believe in somebody above, God, and then you also depend on people and empower them. Make them believe that, make them believe that they are also good. If you do that, I think sky is the limit, not only in diabetes, but in orthopedics or in ophthalmology or even in outside medicine, engineering, whoever is listening, in any field, aim for the best, because India has to really now go to the top. Of course, we are on top in many things, but it's not enough. Not even scratch the tip of the iceberg, as they say. We still have to go a lot, and I hope this little talk has helped in that. I'll stop here now. Happy to take any questions, Tushar. Over to you.
Sir, I'll set the ball rolling because I've been reading your book through the week, and one point which comes into my mind is you said that you always imagined yourself in multiple roles, even as a medical student. And all through our medical college, I don't remember too many of us being like that, means just getting through the next exam well, clearing the entrance exam, getting a PG seat, somehow getting into your specialty, clearing your residency without getting screwed up too badly. That seems to be like the goal, getting into a fellowship program and then somehow make it into clinical practice. Honestly, most of the people think like that. So tell me, what drives such a dream, means, is it genetic? Is it endogenous or exogenous?
Difficult to say, probably again, God's grace. But for me, definitely I had to do my medical studies. That there was no doubt. I cannot give up, although I felt like giving up at many times because I was, I didn't like many things. But that I had to finish. It was a promise given to my father. Research, I took it on myself. I took it on myself, and I can't leave it halfway through. It was a dream, but it was a bad dream. I can't do that. I was really passionate. So 2, I had to. 3, writing. So I used to write poems. I even wrote a book of poems when I was in college, because that's my passion. I'm not, getting out of that. I don't want to get depressing. I never did that. So that I had to do. So I had to read English literature, read poetry, read this, read that. So 3 were already there. Athletics was something I liked. I was athletic captain of my college of MMC. Okay. So that I had to, so that kept me fit. So I was in the field every day, playing this, that, shot put, all kinds of things. I was doing javelin, hammer. And I led them when I was in final year, we went to CMC Vellore, and there we won the intermedical championship. And we had, my classmates, Naresh was extremely talented, cardiac surgeon. We had Natarajan, who was in, Aditya Jyoti, or ophthalmologist, was a long distance runner. We had Beena Oman, who was a national champion in women. So we are blessed to have her in our team. So we were, athletic champions as well. So that straight away gives you 3 or 4. Plus, we are also doing debating and, talking. So that's the oratory part. So that's the 5th one. So you're already doing 5, 6 things, and then doing a lot of, we're doing a lot of mischief also on the side, which I cannot tell you here.
and the entrepreneur, the hat of the entrepreneur.
That came much later, because first 20 years I didn't think of entrepreneurship at all. I was very happy. My father was an entrepreneur, and I was very happy, just working with him. Research was my passion. So my thing was to write papers and to do research and see patients and teach fellowship program. That was all it was. Entrepreneurship just came one day like that, because I was not able to see. You must imagine, When my father left Stanley, he had already finished 25 years there. Now I have served another 20 years with him now. So he has finished like 45 years already. He's slowing down. And I am kind of, I started at 18. So I'm peaking at 38. I'm peaking and, raring to go. And he's slowing down and saying, no, enough. You're taking on too much. You shouldn't do this, shouldn't do that. Then, at one point I said I have to go, but I didn't have the guts because I was not, the entrepreneur thing was not at all in me at the time. And I told my wife, this part, I don't think, so far I've never signed a check even. My father's done everything. Now, I'm standing out on our own. What happens? Then she said, no, we will do it. She had already become an entrepreneur because there she was running her own eye unit. So she had 3 years of entrepreneurial experience. So she said, I'll do all that. Leave that to me. I'll do all that. You just do all what you're doing. That's enough. And you will come up. So with that, we went. Then once we started the entrepreneurial journey, then of course, once you, like you say, the tiger tastes blood, then after that, you can't stop yourself doing that. So that also came. But my main passion still remains research, teaching. These still remain my passion.
Vijay? We can't hear you, Vijay.
Yeah, you're muted, Vijay.
You're muted.
Unmute.
Yeah, I was listening to Sir, so I didn't want to have any stuff. So one question. Your talk was very impressive. Of course, I know about you in the same city, and I've read your book. Now, in all this strive for excellence and this pursuit of excellence, how have you achieved a work-life balance? In all these years, is there anything that you look back and you feel that you've missed out because of this strive for excellence and this forever trying to do academia and work?
Yeah, I must say in the early years, I was guilty of that. This before I went to England. So I went to England in 84, 85. I finished my MD in 81. So until then, I was a total workaholic. Can you imagine doing only, I'll take my class at, 10 o'clock in the night. After finishing everything, I'll call my fellows at 10. They'll be half asleep. I'll say, this is the time to take class now. So I used to do that. So I was working like that. One day, it's mentioned in my book, one day my daughter asked me, who are you? Because she's never seen me. By the time she's 3 years old, and by the time I go to work, she is sleeping. When I come back, she's sleeping. She's never seen me for days. And one day I hit her for something. And she said, who the hell are you to hit me? I said, I'm your father. I said, how do you know you're my father? I've never even seen you. You're like a stranger to me. That kind of a wake-up call for me. And then, after that, we took this 2-year break in UK and Germany, where I got very close to her. Because I used to look after her completely, take her to school, bring her back, take her out, this, that, read bedtime stories to her. I had all the time there because I didn't need the administrative part or other things, only doing my research. I didn't even have to see much patients. So I had all the time to spend with her. Those are the 2 years when I realized that, you're going to miss out something in life. And then the other thing which happened was after we lost my wife, Rama, we lost 10 years ago. At that time, we went through so much of rituals. In fact, in 3-4 places, we took the ashes and 1.5 months went in just rituals. Rameshwaram, this, that, Benares, everywhere, Kerala, Tamil Nadu, everywhere we were doing. Once we finished all that, my daughter and I sat down and we had a chat. And she said, you know what, she's only 57 and we've lost her. Now, what are your life's ambitions? Let's now put down a plan. For the next 10 years, let's put down the plan, what all you want to achieve. I said, I wanted to go to New Zealand, I want to go to Canada, I wanted to go here, I want to go there. She said, I want to go to Russia, she said, let's put it down. Every year we'll take one off, We're taking a break. Every year we take 2-3 weeks off, we're spending time with the family. Now, those 10 years, or now it's a little more than that, has been the time when we have really bonded and we have really found. And whenever, we find that we are doing too much of this, we'll just take a break. We'll just go to Mahabalipuram, we'll go somewhere, 2 days, take off. We've been doing that at least 3-4 times in a year. And the rest of the time, we're all doing the same diabetes and the same research and the same thing. So it really doesn't matter. But I think that's how we maintain the balance. And so it's very important to know that. And work-life balance is very important. Because at the end of the day, you can achieve so much and still you'll be a loner, you'll be depressed, you won't, and you'll regret it. Why I didn't spend time. And family is one thing you should never, ever neglect.
Satyen?
Yeah, thank you. Sir, your passion for research is very obvious. In your talk till now, you have uttered the word research about 34 times already. So I want to know, I mean, how did you get into this? It looks like you were born as soon as you came out. You said, I want to do research. And when your father said you have to do medicine, I said I will do medicine if you allow research. Everything was research. How did this? In Bombay we call it kida. How does it come in?
So for me, I don't know. It was a passion to write. I want to write all the time. So when I was coming to the end of my school, I studied in an Anglo-Indian school where I had fantastic English teachers. And they would, recreate Wordsworth and Shelley and Tennyson, and we will sit there, engrossed and all the time thinking, I'm going to be a teacher like that. I'm going to do this. I'm going to write my own poetry. I'm going to write my own. So that was my plan. Suddenly, when my father said, come to medicine, he said, medicine of all things, sitting and writing prescription. I said, first of all, I can't be a surgeon. That's for sure. I'm a romantic. I'm a, a philosopher. That kind of. I cannot sit in doing surgery and cutting. I said, that's out for me. There's no way. I will not even take medicine if you tell me. No, you become physician. I said, what? And write prescriptions all the time. One prescription, another prescription, insulin, Dynel, this one, that one, keep on writing. I said, I'll get bored. I can't see myself doing that. Then he said, what do you want to do? I said, I want to write. Then he said, then take up research, scientific research. You can write papers. Can you imagine writing 30 papers in thing? It's just an outburst. I just want to keep writing and writing and writing. That's the thing. That's why it's 1,400. I'm still not satisfied. I'm still still got so much to do. So that's how the thing. So halfway through my medical college, up to somewhere final year of house agency, I was doing both. One side I'll write poetry. I was in the college magazine editor. Then I was doing this, doing that. All that I was doing. Then I said, this is getting too much here. One is abstract, one is scientific. I have to give one up. So I said, I'll give the abstract one up. I won't do that. And that's why this book came after so many years. I've not been writing this kind of thing for a long time. But now I've been bitten by this bug now. I'm already writing my next book. So it's already not autobiography, something else. I'll keep it as a secret. But I've already started on my second book, which is already gone on. So now this bug has really bitten me. But that doesn't mean I can give up research. Research still has to go on. That's my real passion. I tell, one definition of passion, Satyen, since you asked, what is passion? How do you know what is your passion? People ask youngsters, how do you know what's my passion? If I tell them, end of a tiring day, you're just going to, now, you go, just about to hit the bed, okay? What is that which will wake you up? If something I gave you now, and then for the next 4 hours, you can continue with, double energy, which you never know from where it came. It can be music, it can be something else, it can be poetry, it can be whatever. But whatever that is your true passion. Now, if you give me an article now, my research article or something which is there, I'll sit and do it right. That's the passion. So once you find your passion, you'll find so much of energy coming that you yourself can't believe it. I'm sure all of you have some passion. And the moment you have that passion, you will have unlimited energy.
Taking this point of passion ahead. It's easy, sir, for the first couple of days, a month, 2 months to, follow it. But you've been doing it for decades. I mean, that is something which is very difficult to understand and very hard to emulate.
The real passion, it will not go away. Do you think Satyen's passion for cricket will go away? He stopped playing cricket, isn't it? Why is he going? He could have done so many other businesses, so many things he could have done. He could have started a big industry, a factory. He could have done. He never does it, no? Why is he going with the cricket team, going and sitting there, doing this, doing? That is his passion. Nothing else in life is his passion, It's like that. If you give A.R. Rahman his music to play, that is his passion. He doesn't need anything else.
Yeah.
That is his. He'll go on with it till they die. They'll go on with it.
So before I go to my next question, continuing this, I would you said that surgeons are not as romantic. I'll tell you, Dr. Tushar Agrawal is a very romantic person, and he can beat you in that aspect. But going to the question,
take it back. All my best friends are surgeons, by the way.
Yeah. But going ahead, sir, the next thing was, I mean, you have invested a lot of money and a lot of your resources into basic science research, which does not give you financial returns if you think about it logically. Was there ever a fear in your mind of failure, of things that it may all come down, and what will I do then?
So basic science, to be very honest, even now is not remunerative, number one. Number two, it's like a mistress which keeps on taking from you, but you don't get anything. And also, to keep the level of basic science going higher and higher and higher is very difficult. You need, first of all, a clinician can't do it. That's all a clinician can do, you know. And even if you do a PhD, even if you do, basically your brain thinks like a clinician once you're a doctor. So then you need that kind of high level kind of scientist working with you. Those kind of people don't come to the private sector, you know, to get that kind of very high level. And of course, we have very good scientists. We have got people, but I'm talking about, you know, an endowed chair in Indian Institute of Science, that kind of, you know, scientists and all that. How will you pay them? To pay them and to keep them going is difficult. So we have, yes, we have good people, loyal people who have done good work, good thing. But the basic science only goes to that level. We can't take the basic science to a Nobel Prize winning level and so on, because you need so much more infrastructure, so much more equipment. You need, you know, hundreds of crores of rupees every year. That kind of funding is very difficult. So what we try to do is we find a clinical solution. We say, what is that we want to find out? And around that, we build the clinical work, the epidemiology work, a little bit of genomics work around that, and a little bit around that, some vascular biology or immunology or whatever, biochemistry around that. So we take a problem and we try to solve that problem. And to that extent, we do the basic science. Because nobody else is doing it in India, in the diabetes circle, we stand up saying that, oh, we are doing that. But I can't claim that we are the best basic science center in the country, and we can't, because we really can't.
There's this very good research I recollect reading from your book about that middle income group, low income group and middle income group epidemiology study about the impact of exercise, and then you reviewed the whole study again after a period of 10 years.
After 10 years,
established the impact of exercise actually in reducing the incidence of diabetes, and it was probably proven in literature in India for the first time.
So those are, see, applied translational research. So they're not basic science. We are following a population, cohort studies. Those things we are very, very strong. In fact, we have our in-depth studies, the whole country, every state in the country. My daughter and my colleagues, Deepa and Pradeepa, and all of them are involved. They have actually traveled to every state, every village in the country. They have traveled to do this. It's taken us 10 years, by the way, to do in-depth. 10 years. It's funded by the government of India, Ministry of Health and ICMR, and it took us 10 years to study 31 states, 29 states, 2 union territories, urban, rural, every village to go to. It's not easy. We have done it. But those are things which we have got expertise in, epidemiology, genomics, translation work, following up cohorts, getting longitudinal data, all that we're doing. What I meant by basic science is sitting in a lab, working inside a cell, finding out the, you know, the cause for that, which hormone, which transcriptome is working or which metabolome is working. Those kind of things are very expensive. They're very difficult. We can't do it. As a private center, we can't do it.
Ashok, you wanted to ask something?
Yeah, it is again related to research.
Yeah.
Since I am also working in research and started this Indian Orthopaedic Research Group.
Very good. Very
OrthoTV is a part of Indian Orthopaedic Research Group as an educational venture.
Okay.
So what, even from last 10 years, I've been looking after postgraduate students in my institute. Almost like 30 orthopedic postgraduates every year. What I've seen is that the passion for research in young generation is quite low, much lesser than they are more in a race for getting publications for certain purposes, and then that thing ends there. There is no passion as such for doing research or adding to literature. It's a publication for publication's sake, actually. So how to motivate them? That is the question. How to help them see value in research and publication, the true value of it.
Very, very important, very relevant question.
Yeah. The only way you can do it is you have to catch them young. Okay. Now, for me, I started, I told you, when I was in second year. My daughter did the same thing. When she joined medical college, she started doing research. And so she's now the head of our research and she does everything. So the same thing, she started again when she was 18, 19 years old, and so she's able to go. If you miss that window of the, say, first year, second year of your MBBS time when you get in, By the time you come to final year, it's very difficult. You're doing, you're doing medicine, surgery, obstetrics, gynecology. At that time, very tough exams you have to pass. That time you go and do research, you're definitely going to fail in the examination. So that initial period is where you should. In fact, what the government should do is, like, my daughter got scholarship. She got from ICMR, she got from DBT, DST. So she went to Chandigarh, spent 1 month in PGI Chandigarh, even as a final year. And then as a house surgeon, again, she went to All India Institute, spent another month there, working in the genomics lab there with Dr. Mehta. So all that, gave us so, she's actually doing hands-on, research in a lab. Even 1 month of that is enough to give you a lifetime of interest. So if we give incentives to students, not just to publish a paper, then we'll get marks and so on, but to really get interested in the subject and pay them for that, then people will come forward. Also, I think these MD PhD programs are very good, or MS PhD programs. You do 2 or 3 years of clinical, and you do 1 more year or 2 more years of research, and then you get your PhD also. So you're getting 2 degrees, and so then you will develop the cadre of clinical research scientists. Otherwise, they are clinicians. See, after you finish your MBBS, they'll say first finish MBBS, then finish MD or MS, then we'll see. Okay, when you finish MBBS, your aim, as you said, is to get into the PG seat, which is so competitive. You have to study NEET, you have to study this, you have to study that. Now you finish that. Now you got your MD. You're still not a super specialist. Now you have to get a super specialization. You finish that now. By the time you are married, you're already 32 years old. You have to earn now. No, you spend so much on all that. You got children. You have to support yourself. Now doing research at that stage is the last priority for you. So you missed the bus. If you caught it early, then you will be able to take them along that route. Otherwise, it is very difficult.
So there is a question from the audience.
Yeah.
Which is asking you to tell us about whether you feel that there is an invisible force guiding you, because you are in such a big position and you are able to achieve such stupendous success.
Absolutely.
I would have liked to say you are like the Bill Gates, but for the fact that Bill Gates is going through a lean patch nowadays.
I wish I had 1/1,000,000th of Bill Gates's money. I could have done so much more. Yes, there is an invisible force guiding me, and I knew that even when I was in childhood. But it was later when I left my father. It was around that time when I came into contact with Bhagavan Satya Sai Baba. And ever since I saw him and met him, I realized that there is something far beyond what we are seeing as daily life and so on. There's something beyond that. There's some kind of a divine force which is beyond that. And I started, getting very much deeply attracted into that. And you'll find 3 or 4 chapters in my book are dealing with that. And I had the guts to actually write it there. I thought people criticize me. So far, people only praised it. They've not criticized. They'll say, how can a scientist write like this? But I'm totally convinced that there is a divine hand which is guiding you, protecting you. Of course, you have to have full faith. If you don't have faith, that it doesn't come. But if you really have the faith, it doesn't matter in which form you pray to. It really doesn't matter which form you pray to. You need not even pray to any form. You pray, but you have to pray. You have to focus on something. There is a power above us. You can call it whatever you want, in what shape, what size, whatever you want. But there is that force. And if you keep connecting to that every day, you will find that in your daily life itself, small miracles start happening. And, I have seen enough of them. In fact, this is not the only book. The first book that I wrote was another book which is completely about miracles. It's called Satya Sai Baba Lives On. It's a bestseller in the Sai circles. It's now in 7 languages. It's been reprinted 3 times. And it's one of the most popular Sai books. And there I have, threadbare I've said how the miracles happen. I can't say how they happen, but what are the miracles which happen? And people say, this is unbelievable. As a doctor, you're saying this. I said, yeah, I have no reason to lie. Why would I lie and tell you I want to leave something behind which is a lie after I'm gone? I have no way. So to me, it is the absolute truth, and I believe in it, and this happens. And therefore, there is that force. But, for people, as you said, people waver. They'll say, oh, but can it be, gone? Then you're lost that. Whereas we say, no, it will happen. It will happen. I am going to, pray for this, and this has happened. And not for materialistic things. I'm just saying for being guided in the right way, when to do. See, when I left my father's place, and after 2-3 years, I didn't know whether to go to our own building or to continue that rented place. It is a big decision to buy a plot of land when you have no money, absolutely zero money, to go and buy land and then take a loan and then build up a hospital on top of that and then do that and all that. It's like, and on one side you're doing research also, spending everything, It's like an impossible thing. It never happens. But when I went to Baba, he said, yes, that's the route you're going to go. I said, well, the money come from, that'll all come. Don't worry, you go. He said, I said, okay, yes, sir. Now I go. I go there, one guy writes out a check for a huge amount and he just gives it to me, a stranger, He has not, Baba's not told him, and he doesn't even know Baba, he doesn't know anything. But that's a miracle, how it happened. People say, how can a stranger give you money? I said, it happened. And if it didn't come, I wouldn't have had my land, I wouldn't have had anything. But and years later, I asked that guy also, why did you give me that money that day? No, I didn't want to ask you, then you may take it back. So, but I wanted to ask you, what made you give? No, doctor, something in the way you said made me think that I should give you that money, Why would somebody think like that? No, if that's not a miracle, what's a miracle, And so like that, many things have happened. That's why I kept saying that it's my team, it's that divine help, all together when it comes, then you can do extraordinary things. If you think you yourself can go and do, many times when I've thought I'll do something extraordinary, it has just flopped, totally flopped, because your human effort. See, the story in Mahabharata is very clear, isn't it? Arjuna, when he is with Krishna, what is his power? Okay. And after Krishna goes, what is Arjuna? He's a shell of a man. He can't do anything, He's a total zero after that. It's the power of Krishna which has made Arjuna strong. Arjuna thinks he's a great archer. He's nothing. He's a zero. It is Krishna who's giving him the power. So like that, whatever we think we are is because a small blessing from somewhere is coming. And that can take us to very great heights. That can protect us. That can guide us in the same path. At least for that we can pray and say, at least guide me. I don't even know how to go. Guide me. And that guidance will come. That I very strongly believe in.
Sir, without any bias, I must say that in orthopedic circles, OrthoTV is the main miracle which has happened. And I must say that Ashok, Shyam and Neeraj Bijlani have achieved something which no other orthopedic surgeon in the nation have been able to sort of establish. And it's truly a miracle the way it's happening. I hope that this liaising of ours and this connection of ours, like you said, serendipity, is the beginning of starting of Diabetes TV. And probably we'll be seeing daily recording of diabetes talks, because I'm sure diabetologists are far more academic than orthopedic surgeons. There's so much more to discuss. So we are approaching to the sort of the end of our time, but any other, Vijay, would you want to ask any other question?
You can unmute, Vijay.
Interesting in your book, from you've been doing a lot of research, applied science, but you also wanted to set up an Ayurveda unit allied to your center, and it didn't obviously work because patients will say, I'll rather go to Ayurveda. That which we see that in a different way. They go for native treatment, they don't come to us. And so what made you want to put Ayurveda along with yours? And do you actually believe that Ayurveda can help in diabetic treatment?
I believe that a holistic treatment, and I'm writing a lot on that now, integrative medicine, holistic treatment. And by holistic treatment, what I mean is, need not be an Ayurvedic kashayam which we are giving. I don't believe that people may hear this and get angry, but of course they work. Even the Ayurvedic kashayams and the medicines work. But they're not a patch on the kind of medicines that we have, and the kind of, you go through the drill, 40 years of research and, the kind of pharmacovigilance that we follow, they cannot match. But they have certain advantages which we don't have. Now, take a doctor who is practicing, let's say I'm a diabetologist practicing, and I find somebody's sugar is high, okay, 300. Oh, you're taking 20 units of insulin. Okay, make it 25, go, next guy, walk in. That's what we do. In our system, that's what we tend to do. We don't find out why is it that your sugar is high. Oh, I had a stress, my somebody died and I had a stress. Oh, you had a stress? Then let's sit down. Let's do some deep breathing now, and I'll teach you how to do that. Now that's where they score. They bring in Ayurveda, they bring in pranayama, they bring in holistic healing. They ask you to sleep on time. They ask you to do so many things. we in modern medicine, we kind of sidestep all that, saying that all that is not necessary. What I'm saying is, why can't we also do that? There's nothing, Ayurveda about that. It's all about holistic healing. So I am now bringing in and saying, let's talk about diet. Let's talk about what you're eating. Let's see how much exercise you're doing. How much do you sleep well? Do you have conflicts in the family? Do you have this? Do you have that? If you see that, you'll find even in orthopedic, somebody will come to you with some pain there. That pain can be some psychological thing. You just find out the root cause for it, and then the pain is gone. Next day, the pain is gone. So that is integrated holistic treatment. Of course, you can also have a fracture, you can also have something else, you can have a frozen shoulder, you can have something else. That is a different thing. But it may not have anything at all. It may be a reflection of some psychosomatic disorder that he's having. So that is where I think we have to bring in. So when this opportunity came, we had a franchise. We took a franchise from a very top Ayurvedic thing. So we thought we can't go wrong. Because the franchisee is very good, and the guys giving the franchise is very good, and we are also things. So bringing it together. Once we kept it there, people shunned us. They said, we are not coming here for Ayurveda. If we want Ayurveda, we'll go to the topmost Ayurvedic physician. Why would we come to you and take Ayurvedic treatment from you? So we totally failed. We lost a lot of money, 3 years, down the drain, everything. Then I closed it. They said, no, this is not my cup of tea. I'm not even trained in it. I don't even know Vata, Pitta, Kapha. Those things itself, I don't know. I've not been trained in that. I'm taught about liver and pancreas and spleen and heart and blood vessels and aorta. I'm not taught about Vata, Pitta, this one. So that's not my cup of tea at all. I don't know it. So I said, let me leave that. Let me focus on this. But I will still bring in spirituality. I sit and pray with people. Somebody comes and depressed. I said, can I just hold your hand? Let's pray for 2 minutes. The transformation that happens in that man, it's unbelievable. Nobody has talked to him like that. Nobody has touched him and told him that you're going to be fine. You know what? I'm going to pray for you and you're going to be fine. 3 months later, I come back, oh, I'm fine. Perfectly all right. Then you will say, a skeptic will say, then for every cancer you do that, for everything you do that. No, I'm not saying that. This costs nothing. It costs nothing. And you're giving hope to somebody. Nothing wrong in it. You prescribe whatever you want. You do your surgery, you replace a knee, you do whatever you want. But at the same time, just give them a little touch and a little thing, and that holistic healing you do. Nothing is wrong in it. By doing that, you will get the patient satisfaction, you will get 100% buy-in, you will get better results. And I can show you that through immunological studies, you can show you how the cellular immunity improves. There is recently I read a book by Norman Cousins on the same subject, and he was saying that, the Manto test, which you do the Manto test, you can hypnotize somebody and say, you will not have a reaction to the Manto test. And then you do the Manto test comes negative. Okay. Now, how can you prevent a reaction occurring in the body by controlling the mind? Okay. These are all actual experiments that have been done. That shows that the mind is so powerful, controlling the body, but we are not making use of it at all. So why don't we try to tap that? Tap it little by little by little, by positive thinking, talking positive things, prayer, spirituality. That's where spirituality comes in. I don't think you should be ashamed to say it, and I don't think you should combine it along with all the other scientific things you do. Combine this all, then it becomes holistic. That person will then like you for that, because you want that extra mile, isn't it? That extra thing. That is what I'm trying to do. I think modern medicine must bring in this element of spirituality, empathy, integrity, and just mindfulness of the. We are not taught this in medical college. Are we taught that? Are we taught ethics? Are we taught integrity? Are we taught empathy? Whereas you go for an MRCP examination, what are they asking you? They're saying there's an actor sitting there, and they'll say, now you go and break the news to him that his wife has cancer. Okay, that will decide whether you're passing or failing. Now the way you talk to that guy, who's acting, he's an actor, and he's sitting there, and you're going to tell him, I've got bad news for you, your wife has got cancer. If you don't do it properly, you're failed in the exam. Okay. That has nothing to do with medicine. But it's that's the art of medicine, which is being taught. I think that's very important. You're not taught that at all. We are only taught how many bones in the body are there, which joint, that joint, how to replace. That's all we are taught. We're not taught the other side of it. We have to bring it in.
Wonderful. We're coming sort of to the concluding remarks. I would just like everybody to see the book again. Dr. Neeraj Bijlani has very kindly put up the link in the YouTube comment section. So all the YouTube viewers can go to the link. We have been very kind. The publishers have been very kind to offer an extra 10% discount over the next 2 days to sort of promote the book. On this note, in this in this talk, I would like to conclude by saying that besides being a great doctor, what sir has told us is that we must have empathy with our patients and we must always generate hope for them in their treatment. I think these 2 points, irrespective of whether we become great surgeons, great researchers, great entrepreneurs, these two traits at least we can pick up and keep with us till the end of our life. I don't know whether by listening to him tomorrow we will have 10 hospitals or 5,000 patients or we'll get awards, but definitely we will be rewarded by more satisfied patients, by being empathetic and by generating hope in their life and in their relatives' lives. And final conclusions this time will be made by Ashok. Actually, every time he should be the one concluding because we are here only because of Ortho TV, I must say. So, Ashok, over to you.
Yeah, so first of all, I'd like to thank Mohan sir for accepting our invitation. This was the absolutely fabulous Golden Jubilee episode that we had. It is one of the best ones, full of positivity, full of inspiration, and there is so much to learn from you, sir. And the way that you have conducted yourself, you have followed your passions into a field which was restrictive, and still have grown all your passions about writing, about literature, about academics, and had the vision and had executed those things. These are really, really inspiring things, especially your spiritual connection, your holistic view on things. Those are things that we generally do not follow or have a uh, kind of, like you said, we have restrictions towards those things. To include them in our patient care and utilizing them to treat our patients, I think that is a great, great message from you. And then again, I'd like to thank Tushar for continuing this for 50 weeks. It's almost like a year, and have 50 guests all across. These are all amazing guests, and we'd like to thank all of them today for being here with us on Monday Motivation for Ortho TV. Uh, Thanks very much. I mean, we cannot express in words how much we owe to them for all their positivity and for all their motivations. So, thanks very much, everyone. Thanks very much.
Thank
Thanks
you.
a lot. Yeah, thanks a lot. We
Thank you, sir.
conclude here.